It is often easier to translate real-world situations to a system of two equations that use two variables or unknowns than it is to represent the situation with one equation using one variable. Let's take a look at setting up a system of linear equations in two variables and use the substitution method to solve. The perimeter of a cross-section of a 2x4 piece of lumber is 10 1/2 inches. The length is twice the width. Determine the actual dimensions of the cross-section of a 2x4. So here we have our 2x4 with two unknowns. We don't know the dimensions of the length or the width. We'll use information given in the problem to generate our two equations. And the first equation is going to come from the mention of the perimeter being 10 1/2 inches. Perimeter is the distance around this rectangle, which means we will have two lengths plus two widths, which is equal to the perimeter that's given in the problem. The other piece of information, since we have two variables, we need to use to generate our second equation. And this second sentence tells us the length, L, is twice the width, which can be represented by 2W. We now have two equations and two unknowns, in other words, a system, and let's use the substitution method to solve. Since our second equation has a variable by itself, we will be able to replace L in the first equation with the value given as equivalent to L in the second equation. In other words, L in the first equation will be replaced with 2W. This will give us the first equation in only one variable, yet still equivalent. Now that it's in one variable, we can go ahead and simplify. We'll follow order of operations and multiply first. Next, simplifying by combining like terms, 4W plus 2W is 6W, and the last operation to undo to have y by itself is to divide both sides by 6, resulting in W having a value of 1 3/4 inches. We're not done though. The problem asks for the dimensions, plural, and we only have the width. We can replace W in either one of the equations. The second equation is probably the easiest since length is already solved or by itself. So replacing W with the value we found, 1 3/4, we need to multiply it by 2 to give us a length of 3 1/2 inches. Then to answer the problem, we will say that the cross-sectional width of a 2x4 is 1 3/4 inches, the value we found for W, and the length is 3 1/2 inches, the value we found for L in our problem.